Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today we discuss if Dan Campbell cost the Detroit Lions a trip to the Super Bowl. We are talking about this today. I assume if you're watching this video that you have watched the game, kind of know all the details of what happened to the game. Just in case you didn't, we'll just add a little bit of context here. This game was a tale of two halves. The Lions basically punched the 49ers in the mouth. They're dominating the line of scrimmage. Their offense looks unstoppable, and they are making Brock Purdy and the 49ers look very, flustered and very uncomfortable. Um, Lions win the first half 24-7, and then the second half happens and 49ers come out right away, get a field goal, and then they get the ball back. They're driving. Brandon Ayuk makes like a crazy catch where, it bounces off like a Detroit Lions player's like face mask and they catch it. They get a touchdown there. Then next drive, literally the next play for the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles the ball. 49ers get the ball back, end up able to tie the game there. Then they end up going up by 10, and then the Lions basically come back, get a touchdown late, and then the 49ers are still able to run out the clock and get the game. Just a little bit of a context here because the Lions blew a 17-point lead. If you were paying attention on the broadcast, they said that is the only time that's ever happened in a conference championship game. And I'll show you guys this tweet here from Warren Sharp. This is only the fourth time that this has actually ever even happened in a football game. Here are the the three other times this happened. All the way back in 1957, ironically, the 49ers are playing the Detroit Lions, and they blew a 17-point lead. The 93 Oilers against the Buffalo Bills, the 2017 Falcons versus the Patriots, who all remember the 28-3 comeback, and the Detroit Lions yesterday against the San Francisco 49ers also join that list. Oh boy, that is not a good list to be on. As far as kind of the bigger stakes of this thing, this is a huge loss to the Lions because you had it. You had it. It's one thing if you play the 49ers and they're just better than you. They were 7.5-point favorites in this game, but you had it. You had a chance here. And just poor execution down the stretch. I mean, the Lions, there's just really no way to say it here, guys. They choked this game. And I think Dan Campbell does need to own some of the blame here. A lot of people are pointing out to in the fourth quarter, the 49ers were up 27-24, and the Lions had the ball on the 30-yard line. It was 4th down and 3, and the Lions had an opportunity to kick a field goal and tie it. What the Lions did is they went for it. And a lot of people out there defended this decision and said, well, hey, this is Dan Campbell. This is what the Lions do. This is how they've been doing it every single game this year. And they're going to live and die by going for it on 4th down when a lot of people say that they should. I don't think it was an analytics thing. I think it was literally just a coaching philosophy thing from Dan Campbell here. So I'm going to say that right off the bat because a lot of people are pointing to analytics. I don't think this was an analytics thing. I think this was just like, hey, I believe in my guys. We're the Detroit Lions, and this is what we do. We go for it on 4th and 3, and we want to go and we want to take a touchdown. We want to, put this game away right now. With that being said, though, people are like, oh, well, this is just who he is. This is what the Lions did. Well, if you go to the end of the first half, the Lions had the ball 4th and 3 on the goal line, about like 10 seconds left on the clock. They have an opportunity to go get a touchdown there, and instead of being up 24 7.5, they could have been up 28-7.5. And you know what Dan Campbell did? He kicked the field goal. And I agreed with that decision. I definitely think that them not kicking that field goal in that fourth quarter situation to tie the game, like you don't know what's going to happen after that if you don't get it. And you know what happened? They didn't get it. The 49ers went down, scored, got a touchdown. We're up 10. And then, and this is where I think you can also kind of criticize Dan Campbell. It's probably a little bit worse than the not kicking it on 4th down there, was they had the ball on the goal line. I think it was like on the 2-yard line, I think, 3rd and goal. They decided to run the ball. The only thing about running the ball there is with a minute left in the game, they did that. They had to burn a timeout because they didn't get it. And when they didn't get it, that was really bad because when they got the touchdown, you're basically saying, hey, if we don't get the onside kick, the game's over. They get a touchdown the next play. 49ers are able to run out the clock because the Lions only have 2 timeouts. That was probably the more egregious one than the not going for it on 4th down. But, I mean, man, you got to wear that a little bit of Dan Campbell there. Now, One thing on top of that too, because a lot of people are, oh, well, this is the aggressive nature of Dan Campbell and the Lions, and they're going to live and die by this. Can somebody tell me the time in football history? This is my point with Dan Lanning with the Oregon Ducks too. Was like, can you tell me the time in like football history when the team that's always ballsy enough to go for it on these fourth down situations and do it over and over and over and over again repetitively? Can you tell me the time that that team's actually won a Super Bowl or a college football playoff? I can't think of it. Now it might happen someday because a lot of this stuff of like the revolution of going for it on fourth down, 4th and 3, go for it. That's what the analytics say. It's a newer-ish type of thing that's going on right now. So it might happen someday, but sometimes it's just like, sometimes you have to play situations, you have to play momentum. And those are the things that analytics like really don't factor into it here. When Dan Campbell and the Lions, decide to go for it on fourth down there, they have just like they had multiple times, in the second half where their team was just not executing in those situations. And that's where I don't think it's all on Dan Campbell's fault here. The defense absolutely got like torched in the second half. Josh Reynolds dropped two huge passes on like key downs for the Lions. That Jahmyr Gibbs fumble, that is huge. That is not on Dan Campbell there. So I don't think it's all on Dan Campbell's side. I think it was a team collapse, but Dan Campbell does have to wear it a little bit for some of those poor coaching decisions there. But yeah, I don't know the time when we've had a coach that has the philosophy of always going for it on fourth and short. Like, I don't know if that's ever worked. And sometimes you have to read the game. You have to read the situation. You have to, be like, all right, well, how have we been doing recently? Do we have, because there's only so many plays that you can run on like fourth and third, right? Like there's only so many because that's kind of how these teams obviously practice this stuff, but do you have like 10 of those that you can use in a game? And if you've had guys that are dropping passes recently, if your offense has been very, very, slow and not, playing that well in the second half, maybe you just kick it and tie the game and maybe you can try and force overtime. That's probably what I would have done. Dan Campbell's going to get ripped for it. I don't think this is a reflection on Dan Campbell as a head coach. I think he's a very good head coach. I think we all kind of root for Dan Campbell in a way because he's kind of coaching and, the way he talks and the way he, acts is a little bit unconventional for a lot of people. And I think that's why he gets, a lot of criticism, for the biting the kneecaps thing. But I think we're all rooting for Dan Campbell. We want him to succeed. We want the Detroit Lions to succeed. But there's just a few coaching things here in the second half that, again, hindsight's 2020, but in the moment, like even the broadcast was saying when that on that 3rd and goal run, it was just like, if you better get it. If you're gonna do it, you better get it because if not, you're gonna burn like 30 seconds off the clock. That was a bad one. And then I think the kick there, not kicking it to tie the game, like you just have to roll the dice for it. And it's like if your kicker can't make like a 47-yard field goal in, decent conditions, like he shouldn't be an NFL kicker. He just shouldn't be an NFL kicker. So I would have kicked it there. And again, too, to the people that say like, oh, well, this is how Dan Campbell was. It wasn't how he was at the end of the first half. That wasn't how he was at the end of the first half. So he could change his philosophy a little bit there and be like, hey, let's tie the game here. So there you have it, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Did Dan Campbell cost this team the game? Do you think it was a whole team collapse, kind of how I think? Because, again, the defense got torched in the second half. I don't think Goff played the best in the second half. Two big Josh Reynolds drops, Jahmyr Gibbs fumble, just kind of a whole kind of collection of things, just came together to really screw the line. So let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you got this far, hit that subscribe button. Really help us boost the algorithm. I talk NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA stuff. We're just now starting to put clips like this on YouTube, even though we've been doing this show for over 4 years now. So if you hit that subscribe button, it really helps us out in the algorithm. If you like this video, hit that like button. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you next time.